I think I'll probably have time for 2 questions. Can I, yes, sir, back there. One minute, just wait for the microphone, please.
Professor Halberstam, I appreciate your analysis of the public security or public safety exception, but it seems to me that the Quarles case is distinguishable from the Christmas Day bombing. In Quarles, there was a witness who actually saw the gun, so it was known that it existed. If you believed the witness, then you knew that it existed. But to say that there might be another plane where something else is going on, I don't know if you can. There's no other witness. There's no other evidence. It's just speculation. So I just want to know how you get to the next step.
Well, I think first of all, I don't think that was the basis of the court's rationale in Quarles. What they said is that Miranda is a rule designed to protect the Fifth Amendment. It's not even part of the Constitution. And where there is the possibility that you lose a conviction, I tried to read it, maybe I read it too quickly, it's a cost that society is ready to bear in order to ensure that people know their rights, etc. That the police don't try to intimidate people, which would make the confession involuntary under the Constitution. Justice Rehnquist also made very clear that that rationale does not apply where the cost is danger to other people, not just the possibility that somebody won't be convicted. And I don't think it's mere speculation. I can think off the top of my head of 3 cases, and others can probably think of others, where Al-Qaeda terrorist attacks went in groups. 9/11, just think about it. Supposing we had succeeded in apprehending one of the hijackers before he got on the plane, and supposing we had an opportunity to question him, and then the FBI said, well, we can't do that. We have to give him the Miranda warnings. Should they have done that? How many lives would have been saved? And there were multiple attacks in London. There were multiple attacks in Spain. It's part of the MO of Al-Qaeda to attack simultaneously at several points. And in fact, the media reported that this particular man said there are others coming after me in the initial questioning. So I don't think that the case is weaker. I think, on the contrary, it's much stronger because if somebody finds the gun, maybe. There was no evidence in the Quarles case that he had an accomplice. He did it on his own. Here we have a situation where thousands of lives were at stake in like 9/11, and where we have reason to believe they are acting not just singly, but operating several attacks simultaneously.
Just a very quick add-on to that, which is that one should think about the public safety regulatory exception to the Fourth Amendment on searches, and think about the John Walker Lynn case. He probably would not have pleaded guilty unless he'd given an interview to CNN, to a stringer, which couldn't be suppressed. But if he'd given the same statement and you applied the Miranda rule on the battlefield, he probably would not have pleaded guilty.
One last question. Yes, please.
I'm Kenneth Galvin. I'd like to ask the 2 American lawyers, particularly Ms. Wedgwood, about the International Criminal Court, a relatively new device which the United States, under the previous administration and even under the current administration, has not elected to join. But there are a lot of pressures as to whether the United States should. Immediately, there's a conference coming up in Kampala, a review conference, and the United States has under consideration whether it should attend that conference and participate in it, even though it doesn't support. I would be interested in your views as to where the United States should align itself with the International Criminal Court.
Where should Ruth?
Well, I was pretty cautious as we went to Rome because there were no negotiating instructions for the U.S. delegation till the third week, so we didn't even know what we wanted. And we didn't have any idea, I think, how the political process would spin out of control. The Canadians were a little nasty at that time, vive la différence, tant pis. And it was right after the Ottawa Landmines Convention, so the NGOs were pretty much dominant. I would have been very happy to have a Security Council, permanent ad hoc tribunal with Security Council referrals. But you've got, instead, this ongoing quarrel about universal jurisdiction and non-state parties. The real dangers at the moment in the review conference are they're taking up the definition of aggression. It only names the acts that could be aggression, but with none of the justifications for those acts. So you could get a situation where, by implication, anytime the U.S. acts without a Security Council Chapter 7 resolution, it could be deemed by the court to be aggression. This would not be a good outcome for us. And it shouldn't be sent back to the working group. We should use a lot of body English to persuade countries that, and persuade the court itself that they should table this indefinitely. It will kill the court. And then secondly, you have Gaza and the fan dance that's going on about whether Usa Copper will or won't take the Gaza matter on, and whether one can stretch the word state to include non-state entities, and whether teleology is a sufficient excuse for expanding the jurisdiction of the court. When I was a girl, I was taught that criminal law should generally be construed strictly. And I do think that one ought to make clear to the court that they can seek to amend their statute if they wish, but they should not amend it by teleological fan dance. Thank you.
Well, I thank you all and the very distinguished panelists for their participation in this first panel of the day. And